my question for you is, why learn self-coaching? Why would that be a good thing? What would that benefit someone? The other day I was meeting with another woman, another mother, and out of the blue she said, I've been thinking about you recently. I don't know how you get everything done. How do you get everything done? And I started laughing because I don't get everything done. And that's what I said to her. I said, well, first of all, I don't get everything done. Certain things don't get done. And I use my self-coaching tools every day. I use those every day to get myself through the day and make that work as a single mom who's working and homeschooling and all those things. So, I have an innate sense of how I use self-coaching, but for someone who has never taken a class where they learned self-coaching, or maybe for someone even who hasn't had much coaching for themselves, how could that help them to learn self-coaching tools where they learn how to coach themselves as opposed to being coached? Why would that be helpful? Why would someone want to do that?
Well, you've probably got the answer right in your answer to that woman. How does self-coaching help you throughout the day? I mean, you're not doing everything, so you're prioritizing. Mm-hmm. You're not screaming at your dog and your kids mm-hmm. because you're managing your responses to situations that are coming up, right?
Yes.
You're aware of when you are starting to get overwhelmed by everything that's happening throughout the day. You're even aware of when you're just beginning to get tired while working on something, right?
I'm getting a lot better at that, that's for sure.
Okay. So you have choices. Once you have that awareness training of what's going on with you that leads to those points of overwhelm or just fatigue around a task. Self-coaching is about awareness training. That's basically what it is. It's raising your awareness of what's happening in your body, your emotions, and your thoughts. And there are patterns that go with any kind of possible response. So overwhelm is a good one, especially for single parents. Mm-hmm. A lot is going on in the day. So there are certain patterns that every person has that are unique to their sense of being overwhelmed. So for me, being overwhelmed, has thought patterns of this is too much, I can't do this, why did I take this on? Those kinds of disconnecting questions. They're disconnecting me from my spiritual nature and the person that I want to be in that moment, okay? Uh-huh. So that's the thought pattern that goes with my sense of overwhelm. The emotion pattern is usually fear, anxiety, feeling of unsafe, that this is more than I can handle. So that would be the emotion pattern that I experience. In my body, a number of things are going on. I'm breathing very shallowly. My shoulders are hunched forward, so I can't even take deep breaths if I want to, if I could even think of it. My neck and shoulders are very tense. So once you're aware of those three sets of patterns, self-coaching is about learning how to gently disrupt one of those patterns. Uh-huh. And for me, starting by disrupting the body pattern always works most efficiently, because once I change my body's pattern of overwhelm, it immediately begins to dissipate the intense emotional feeling of overwhelm, and it starts to quiet my thoughts. So what happens is, by disrupting that pattern in my body, I now have more choices, because I'm not stuck in a pattern of being overwhelmed. And my brain is not stuck in the pattern of all those overwhelming thoughts. Does that make sense?
That totally makes sense. And it strikes me, too, Carolyn, that that there is really a difference, is there not, between reacting, which are those patterns, like they're like the automatic things that happen over and over again. I'm sure people can relate. I can still relate. Even as a coach, I'm still working on my patterns. Things run real deep. But that's sort of the reactiveness we think of. But then you're talking about response, and I hear you talking about response in coordination with choices. So there's that response and choices versus sort of reaction and old patterns, correct?
Right. And when you're starting out learning self-coaching skills, you are making a choice to respond. Now, eventually what happens as you reform and you get more flexible and you get more patterns going for you that you can easily access, your new patterns become automatic. So your reactions to things are coming from a place of love, of acceptance, of, being connected to spirit, even when something terrible is happening. So it's really a matter of repatterning, and unfortunately most of us grow up with very few patterns to access.